Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. I walked in with a bag of Chinese takeout and heard my wife talking fast in the kitchen. Not loud, not casual, fast. I set the bag on the counter and called out, "Honey, I'm home." She dropped to a whisper so quick it was almost comical. "I'll call you back." He just walked in. Then she stepped into the doorway with a bright smile like someone switched on a light. "Hey, you're early." Long day. Her arms opened for a hug that felt rehearsed. Traffic was kind, I told her, leaning in just enough to keep the peace. Her phone face down on the counter lit up twice, and then went dark. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have skipped the takeout and started the clock right then. We ate standing up. She picked at noodles like they'd been uninvited. I asked about her day. She said meetings, waved it off, and drifted back to that phone. When I reached for it to slide it away from the soy sauce puddle, she snatched it with 2 fingers and laughed like I'd stolen a diamond. "Work," she said. "Boring. Must be thrilling, since it calls you back at night." I answered, dropping a napkin. She shrugged, poured seltzer, and kissed my cheek without landing it. "You worry too much, Mark. Go shower. You smell like brake dust." That night, around 1:30, I woke to the soft rumble of her voice down the hall. Not loud. Not a friend. I caught. "No, tomorrow's rough. I'll message you in the morning." I lay there, counting ceiling marks until she slid back in next to me smelling like mint gum and cool air. "You up?" she whispered. "Bathroom," I muttered, rolling away. The phone buzzed again, 3 pulses in a row. She tucked it under her pillow like we lived in a dorm. In the morning, she was up early, dressed sharp, lips glossed, a kind of effort she saves for company, not for me. "Lunch out," she said, scrolling. "Don't wait." She kissed the air by my head and grabbed her keys. "Who's calling you at 1:30? I asked. "Vendors," she said without looking up. "Launch next month. You know how it is." "Sure," I replied. "Usually vendors call the purchasing department, not the pillow." She blinked slowly, the way people do when they're deciding whether to be offended or amused. "You're adorable when you're paranoid." Then she was gone. I'm not the jealous type. I'm the inventory type. I notice what's on the shelf and what went missing. Over the next 10 days, the missing items were time, eye contact, and most of our joint account. Her phone lived face down like it had social anxiety. She stayed late. She left early. Twice I heard that same night voice. Quiet, careful, sweet. Each time she had an early training the next morning. I tried conversation first. We were driving to her friend's birthday at a pub on South Main. Her scrolling for parking updates like the spaces were texting her personally. "When did we stop eating dinner together?" I asked. She smirked at the windshield. "When your schedule got nuts, remember? You said it yourself." "I said I was on a deadline last month," I said. "I didn't say we should stop being married." "You're being dramatic." "No," I told her. "I'm being specific." "Who's texting you throughout the night?" Again, she sighed, pressed the bridge of her nose. "Can we not do this on the way to Jenna's thing? I'm already late." "Name the person." "Mark." She turned, that old patient teacher tone. "It's work." "Then you won't mind if we look at the thread together." She laughed once, sharp. "I'm not handing over my phone like a teenager." "Are you serious right now?" "I'm serious about us," I replied, "and about not financing strangers." She folded her arms. We drove the rest of the way with the kind of silence that scratches the glass. Inside the pub, she became someone else. Lighter. Sparkly. Her friend Jenna hugged me and said, "Where's the old Mark who used to dance?" I said he was home doing taxes. My wife, her name is Erin, leaned into the table talk with a reckless ease I hadn't seen at home in months. When I went to the bar, I caught the tail end of Erin's sentence. "He's just been difficult. Emotional. It's like he wants a fight." Never said that. I told the bartender, because it felt like someone should hear the other side. He slipped me a lime wedge and shrugged. On the way back to the table, a text banner slid across Erin's screen while it lay unlocked near her glass. "Meeting at 2? Miss you already." The name was just initials. I slipped the phone back under her knuckles and "Saturday, you've got a fan," I said. She palmed the phone in one motion. "Work." "Then your workplace misses you personally," I said, grabbing a fry. "Generous benefits." She rolled her eyes. "You're embarrassing yourself." "I'll risk it." She lifted her chin, the look she gives before she drops a small grenade. "If you were more present, we wouldn't be here. I turned to her slowly. I can fix a lot of things. I can't fix that sentence. We smiled for pictures, because that's what adults do. On the way home, she scrolled under the seat belt. I might fly to Chicago for a summit, she said. 2 nights. Jenna says I should go. It'd be good for me. On our card. She gave me that airy, offended face. It's a family card. I said. Excuse me. We'll talk about it, I replied. We'll do a budget this weekend. Not tonight. She laughed through her nose. You don't control me. No, I said. I control me. And my money. She stared out the window until the buildings blurred into lights. The next morning, I transferred the bulk of our savings into a separate account in my name and left enough in the joint to cover bills. I canceled her authorized user status on my personal credit card. I set limits on the debit. No speech. No fight. Just fact. At work, I closed my office door and called a private investigator I used once for a vendor issue. I told him I needed proof of a pattern, not rumors. Dates, times, places. No drama. He asked if I wanted hidden devices. I told him I wanted photographs and logs. He said a week would give him a baseline. That afternoon, Darren from 2 offices down poked in, a man who lives on black coffee and sports scores. You look like you started a diet without telling me, he said. Financial cleanse, I said, flipping a folder. Family plan. You okay? I'm adjusting, I replied, trying adult settings. He gave me a look like he actually heard me. Just don't explain yourself to people who already decided what you are. You know, copy that. 3 days later, Erin came home with a new haircut and used my shoulder like a mirror. Don't be mad about the Chicago thing, she said, breezing by. Work's paying most, I'll cover the rest. Not mad, I told her. We'll run it through the budget. She dropped her purse on the console with extra noise. God, the budget. I'm not a child. Then you'll appreciate the math. She moved closer, softer, fingertips at my collar. I know I've been distant, she said. You've been intense. I'm trying to breathe, that's all. Maybe I've leaned on friends. It's not a crime. I held her eyes. It's not breathing when you choose it over us. She tilted her head. Come to Chicago with me. I watched her hands. They were steady now, not fidgety. We both know it's not that kind of trip, I said. She smiled a little. You think I'm meeting someone? I think you've been meeting someone, I answered. Often. Unbelievable, she whispered, the hurt look that used to work when we were 28 and still learning each other's tells. Do you hear yourself? Every day, I said. You're welcome to prove me wrong. She stepped back and gathered herself into business. I can't live under a microscope. Then step out of the lab, I told her. We'll do house rules. Phone off after 10. Shared calendar. You owe me respect, not explanations. She snorted. You owe me trust. Trust lives where respect pays the rent, I said, grabbing my keys. I'll grab dinner. She messaged the whole time I was gone. When I returned, she was soft again. She pressed a plate into my hands. Made sweet talk about a show we used to watch. Asked about Darren like she cared. I clocked it as the first warm front after a cold snap. It didn't land, but I noted the weather. My investigator checked in 2 days later. He had photos of Erin at a mid-range steak place with a guy in a navy jacket. The same guy met her twice for lunch at a cafe near the river. Twice more at a hotel off the interstate that does daytime business for people who need a nap. He had timestamps, plate numbers, and a list of calls from a number saved on her phone under a work alias. 147 contacts in 3 months. Morning, midday, night. I looked at the first photo for a full minute. She was laughing across a small table, hand touching the rim of her glass the way she touches mine when she's winning. The man leaned in like everything in the room belonged to them. All right, I said into the phone. Keep going. I want a clean week. I want receipts. You'll have them, he said. You want me to confront her? People ask. No, I replied. I confront. That night, Erin wandered into the garage while I checked the oil in my truck. She wrapped herself in my jacket and sighed dramatically. Are you avoiding me? Nope, I said. Dipstick reads low. She played with a wrench on the workbench. I miss you. You miss my attention, I corrected. She glanced up, wounded again. Wow. We'll be fine if we agree on one basic thing, I told her. Neither of us treats the other like a placeholder. She watched the floor. I hear you. Good, I said. We reset. I'll take Friday off. Let's do breakfast at 11. No phones. Her face brightened too quickly. Yes, that'd be nice. It will. She touched my arm. Thank you for trying. Not trying, I said, deciding. We didn't have breakfast Friday because she had a client emergency. I took the day anyway. I met the investigator at a coffee shop, and he slid me an envelope that looked heavier than paper. Inside were 8 days of timestamps with matching charges, restaurants for two, ride shares back and forth, and 2-day rate slips from that interstate hotel. He'd printed a copy of our joint card activity that matched her days, ride shares and meals charged to our account, topped up with her personal card when my limits kicked in. He included small notes, linked to number ending 42, blue jacket again, parking garage, level 3. I want a digital copy, I said. Already in your inbox, he replied. Good. Send me an invoice. I placed the envelope in my briefcase like it was hardware. On the way home, I stopped by the bank. I removed her revolving access to our savings entirely and set 2 automatic transfers, mortgage, utilities. I left the rest alone. I wasn't here to play petty money games. I was here to separate fuel lines. At home, she was all charm. She made a pasta dish she'd watched on a vlog and poured me a glass of the cheap cab we keep for guests. Chicago's off, she announced. I decided I need a staycation. With you. That's generous, I said, twirling noodles. What changed? She slid closer, hands around my arm. I overreacted. I hate how we've been. I still want us. Let's reset. The old me would have taken that deal and bought flowers. The current me stored it under Illusion of Change, Part 1. I let my face soften an inch. Reset how? I asked. Less checking up. Less suspicion. Go with the flow. She kissed my shoulder. We grew apart when you got rigid. You used to be fun. I'm still fun, I said. I just don't finance fantasy. She frowned. There it is. The accountant voice. It pays for the roof, I replied. She stood, annoyed, then pivoted into sweetness so syrupy it left a film. You know what? Forget it. Let's not fight. Movie? Your pick. We watched half of something while she messaged in the kitchen pretending to refill water. I paused the movie and just listened to the taps of her thumbs. At 11:10, I told her I was turning in. She lingered to finish a blog post. The house hummed with that quiet that feels planned. Saturday morning, I met with a family attorney in a low-rise office near the courthouse district. A woman close to my age, trim, direct, zero fluff. I handed her the envelope and the digital copies. She looked through the photos as if she were cataloging bolts. You're early, which is good, she said. What outcome do you want? Clean exit. No drama. Simple division. I want her to stop using my money for extracurriculars. I want the house dealt with one way or another. I want to keep what I earned before we married. I'm not here to ruin anyone. I'm here to end this like adults. You have proof, documented spending from your account, and logs, she said, tapping page 3. That sets a tone. I know. Do not confront at home, she added, closing the folder. We'll file quietly. Serve when you're ready. Keep your behavior boring. No outbursts, no threats, no night arguments. If she stages something, letting it pass is better than stepping into it. You look like a calm man. Stay that way. I am, I said. Until I'm not. Good, she replied. I'll draft. On the way out, I called Darren. You around? He was at his workshop, a rented garage where he tunes motorcycles as a side hustle. I stopped in, handed him a coffee, and told him straight. He leaned against the workbench, face thoughtful. You're doing it right, he said. Not the show, the steps. Thanks. He pointed a wrench at me. If she brings an audience, don't play the part they wrote. Sit in silence as long as it takes. Then drop facts like bricks. We'll see, I said. You will, he replied. The following week was a rhythm. Aaron late, Aaron sugary, Aaron annoyed when the new budget rules caught her at a salon where they didn't take Amex, except they do. She texted me during a meeting. Card declined. Embarrassing. Fix it. Budget stood in your way, I wrote back. I can't live like this. How you live is up to you. She came home that night with the fight loaded. You humiliated me. Your choices handled that, I answered. I set rules. You tested them. God, you're so rigid. You'd rather I be miserable as some kind of lesson. I'd rather you honor the agreement, I said. Here's mine. No more last-minute social runs without a shared calendar note. No more night calls past 10 in the house. If that's too hard, The guest room is open. She barked out a laugh. You're banishing me? I'm offering you privacy, I replied. I'm taking mine. She paced the kitchen and tossed a dish towel too hard, so it skidded off the stove and hit the floor. The next morning, she woke me at 6 with a soft voice and coffee that tasted like an apology. I'm sorry about last night, she said, sitting on the bed like we were in a commercial. I hate who we've become. I want to be better. I called Jenna. She says we should do a double date Friday. Reset with friends. 2 resets in a week, I said, sipping. We're professionals now. Please don't mock me. She snapped lightly, then forced a smile. I'm trying. We'll do Friday, I told her. But my way, which is, she perked up. We drive separate. We leave when we want. No phone at the table. If you break that last one, I'm out. No scene. Just out. She nodded too quick. Done. Friday came and brought a storm. Not outside, inside our house. I walked in from work and stopped at the living room threshold. The furniture had been rearranged. Chairs and the couch formed a half circle around a single dining chair pulled into the center. On the coffee table sat a box of tissues like we were filming something. Erin stood by the fireplace in a cream sweater and neutral face. 4 of her friends were seated like a tribunal. Jenna with the social media smile, Tara with the clipped tone, Melissa who works in HR and speaks in policies, and Priya who has a talent for nodding with judgment. Erin gestured at the empty chair. We need to talk. I put my keys on the entry table. That the chair where truth goes to die? Please sit, Jenna said, already looking at a sheet of paper. This is important. I glanced at Erin. We still doing that double date? This is better, she replied. This is constructive. Intervention? I asked, raising an eyebrow. I should have brought snacks. Mark, Melissa said, palms pressing her knees. This is a chance for you to hear how your behavior impacts Erin and this relationship. And to take responsibility, Tara added, crossing her legs like a magazine photo. Priya nodded before I spoke, which was a neat trick. I took 2 steps in, scanned the half circle, and sat on the arm of the couch instead of the center chair. Proceed. Erin lifted her chin. We made this format so things don't spiral. You'll have a turn. Magnanimous, I said. Jenna started. Number 1, she read. You have become emotionally unavailable. Erin reports that when she reaches out, you shut down. I looked at Erin. Reach out translates to call at 1:30 from the spare room. Yes? See. Tara cut in. Deflection. Let her finish, I said, gesturing. 2. Jenna continued. You control the finances to an unhealthy degree. Erin shared that a joint card was cut off without warning, causing public embarrassment. I nodded. That happened. Priya leaned forward. That's financial control. It's called a budget, I replied. Adults use it. Melissa jumped in with a soothing tone. We're not attacking you. We're giving you mirrors. Great, I said. I like mirrors. Keep going. 3. Jenna said, eyeing her notes. You set rules unilaterally. Curfews. Guest room exile. That's not partnership. I looked at Erin. I offered privacy and clarity. You prefer fog. 4. Jenna continued. You've accused Erin of things you can't prove, damaging trust. I almost laughed. The sound got stuck and turned into a resize of my posture. Go on. Erin watched me closely, trying to read whether I'd blow. I didn't. Melissa took over. We drafted some requests. 1. You will stop monitoring Erin's phone or implying she has to show you anything. 2. You will reinstate full access to all shared funds. 3. You will commit to counseling with an objective third party. 4. You will stop speaking negatively about Erin to friends or colleagues. You left out 5, I said. I wear a dunce cap every night until morale improves. See how you joke? Tara piped up. You can't hold a serious conversation. I'm holding it, I told her. You just don't like that my hands are clean. Mark, Erin said with practiced calm, this is about us. I invited them because you won't listen to me. You need to hear this. I'm listening, I said. So far I've heard that I'm cold, controlling, and paranoid. And that my money is community theater. Jenna sighed. You always minimize. 2 hours they went, one after another. They read lines about empathy, about freedom, about modern marriages, and individual space. Priya brought in a story about a cousin whose husband suffocated her with expectations and how she had to build a village. Tara referenced an article about weaponized incompetence, which made no sense in context. She used the phrase like it bought her time. Melissa kept advocating process, consistent weekly check-ins, non-judgmental space, repair attempts. Erin punctuated each theme with small shakes of her head, as if exhausted from carrying me over a mountain of my own faults. I sat through all of it without moving much. At one point, I poured myself water from the pitcher they'd set out like we were in a board meeting and said, "Hydration matters," which made Priya huff. They gave me my opening with the tone of kindergarten teachers. "Do you have anything you want to say?" Melissa asked. "Sure," I said and stood. "Keep it respectful," Tara warned. "Always," I replied. I walked to the piano bench where I'd placed my briefcase when I first came in. I clicked it open and lifted out a thin folder. Erin's eyes went to it, then to me. Her mouth made a small movement, then corrected itself into neutral. "Thank you for the clarity," I said, and set the folder on the coffee table. "It makes this easy." "What is that?" Jenna asked. "Pictures," I replied. "Timestamps. Receipts. Call logs. 8 days to start, plus a summary. Restaurants for 2, charged to our joint card. Daytime hotel slips. A number in your phone with inventor initials that matches a personal number I pulled from phone records tied to your email. 147 contacts in 3 months. That's a lot of professional development." Erin reached for the folder. I put my hand on it, calm. "Sit." She sat. Jenna tried to recover. "We don't need." "You do," I cut in. "Because without it, this is a story where I'm the villain and Erin is a civic project gone wrong. With it, this is a story where I set boundaries and was told they were abusive because they blocked fun." Melissa lifted a palm. "Mark, if you think you've discovered." "I didn't discover anything," I said softly. "I confirmed what I already knew." Tara scoffed. "Photos can be misleading." I opened the folder and slid out the top image. Erin in navy jacket at the steak place, leaning in like they were the only 2 people with oxygen. I set down the next one. The hotel sign, date stamp, and the day rate, receipt with her initials scribbled. Another, the parking garage camera still with her license plate next to his. Another, their lunch outside by the river, hands close enough to shake without touching. Erin didn't reach for the water now. She stared at the table like it might open. "I hired a professional," I said. I didn't rant. I didn't accuse. I acted. "Meanwhile, you used our money to fund a secret second schedule. When I limited your access, you staged this play to paint me a monster, get witnesses, and frame a narrative for a soft landing with your people and your accounts. It's clever. I respect the planning. But you rolled it out too late." "Mark," Jenna said, a little less sure, "we're not here to judge." "You already did," I said, smiling. "It's okay. You had incomplete data." Priya muttered. "Erin, what is he talking about?" Erin tried to find footing. "Those are out of context," she said, voice thin. "Context," I replied, "is a day rate hotel twice in 2 weeks. It's 147 calls. It's the same jacket and the same smile." She looked at her friends, then at me. "We were just talking." "It wasn't." I shook my head once. "Stop." She did. I closed the folder, slid it back into the briefcase, and latched it. Then I looked up and put my keys in my palm. "I'll work on this in my next relationship," I said lightly. "Thanks for the clarity." "Where are you going?" Jenna asked, rattled. "Out," I answered. "We're done here." Erin stood suddenly. "You don't leave. We're not finished." "We are," I said. "I've filed. You'll get papers Monday. There's an attorney lined up who'll talk you through it. If you'd like to bring a village, be my guest. But it's law now, not feelings." "Filed?" Melissa repeated. I nodded. Quietly. 2 days ago. Erin's face flushed with a heat that isn't anger so much as someone realizing the mirror turned around. "You can't just." "I can," I said. And I did. I walked out while they were still processing the tone shift. In the driveway, I took a slow breath like a mechanic after a repair and drove to Darren's workshop where the smell of oil and old paint felt like a clean church. He looked up from a carburetor. "How'd the scene go?" 2 hours of lines, I told him. Then I gave them new pages. He grinned. "Good." I slept on his shop cot that night with the hum of the soda machine and a space heater ticking like a metronome. In the morning, I texted Erin 2 sentences. "I'll be by at 10 to get a few essentials. Please keep the living room clear." She wrote back, "We need to talk." I didn't reply. At 10, she waited at the kitchen island, messy bun, and a sweatshirt that said Sundays. Her eyes were wet enough for sympathy if I didn't know better. You blindsided me, she said. You built the ramp, I answered. I just used it. You're walking away from a marriage without even trying counseling. We tried courtesy, I said, packing a duffel with shirts and the watch my father left me. We tried honesty. You tried stage content for your friends. They were only there to support me. Of course, I said. They still can. She followed me to the door like I might forget my keys and forget the last 3 months too. Please, we can reset. I'll stop seeing. I'll stop lunching with people. I'll delete numbers. I'll show you everything. Just don't do this. That was Illusion of Change, Part 2, Excessive Willingness. I nodded like she'd said something about the weather. The papers are filed, I said. We'll handle it there. You're cruel, she whispered, voice shaking just enough to sell tickets. No, I said. I'm steady. It looks cruel when you're used to wobbling. I stepped outside without a slam. I drove to a short-term rental I'd booked near the river. It had a clean kitchen, a firm bed, and a small desk that felt like it belonged to someone who did what he said he'd do. Monday, her attorney called mine to schedule a meeting. Wednesday, we sat around a laminated conference table in a building that smells like copier toner and learned helplessness. Aaron brought Jenna for moral backup. Jenna brought a tote bag and the face of a person who expected drama and found fluorescent lighting instead. My attorney laid out copies of statements and a neat timeline. She was calm enough to be a storm chime. Here are the joint card charges that align with the investigator's dates, she said, sliding the stack. Here are the call logs. Here is an index of days where there was overlap. Here are the rideshare receipts too, and from the same location during business hours. Aaron tried to smile like this was a misunderstanding that paperwork couldn't understand. We're social people, she said. We eat out. We see friends. This proves nothing. Aaron, my attorney replied, not unkindly. If this were friends and business, it wouldn't require a hotel that rents by the afternoon. Jenna shifted, shading her eyes like the room got bright. Aaron's attorney, a young man with too much gel, cleared his throat. We're here to find a path forward, not dwell in accusations. No accusations, my attorney said. Just numbers. We're proposing the sale of the house, or Aaron buys out Mark's half within 60 days based on appraisal. Aaron restores $3,200 in joint funds that were used for personal outings during the last quarter, based on the charges we've identified. She also covers half of Mark's documented costs to secure this evidence, which are minimal. Each keeps premarital assets. Retirement accounts divided as per length of marriage. Mark keeps his truck. Aaron keeps her car. Simple. Aaron looked at me. You'd make me homeless. I'd make us even, I said. Jenna turned to Aaron, a tiny shift away. Not grand. Enough. Aaron spoke to her attorney. We can't agree to those numbers. It's punitive. It's proportional, my attorney corrected. Or we can do this in front of a judge later. But I believe Aaron wants this quiet. Her social circle is very important to her. She said that like a weather report, not a stab. Aaron's jaw moved. She glanced at Jenna, who didn't meet her eyes this time. She looked back at the papers. 3,200, she repeated, very quiet. And expenses. Plus the house terms, my attorney said. Aaron swallowed. Fine. All of it, her attorney asked, surprising no one with his lack of spine. All of it, she said, like the word cost. We scheduled signatures. We divided furniture. We set a date to list the house if she didn't buy me out. It felt like buying a used car, dry, transactional, clean. When it was done, Aaron stood and tried one more performance. We could have saved this, she said. We could have respected it, I replied. Jenna lingered in the hallway afterward. I didn't know, she said, voice smaller than I'd heard it. I figured, I told her. You would have staged a different play. She half smiled. You were calm. That was impressive. I shrugged. Doesn't win a trophy. Just gets you out of the building. Back at the rental, I ordered a cheap pizza and answered texts from Darren like an adult who survived a hurricane by reading the weather warnings. My phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. It was the investigator. You want the rest of the week? He asked. I have more. No need, I said. We're done. He paused. Most people want it all. I want enough, I answered. I got it. Within 2 weeks, the house was under appraisal. Aaron didn't buy me out. She stalled, then conceded, then asked for a miracle, then texted me the way people text their exes when they realize they're not the main character in his week anymore. We should talk. We can keep it civil. You're throwing away history. I hate you for doing this like a transaction. I miss you. The messages came in clusters, like weather. I replied once. My attorney will coordinate. She sent a final line. You never fought for us. I sent mine. I fought for respect. Different sport. By the time the sign went up on the lawn, I'd already moved my tools and my father's watch and the photos that mattered. The rest stayed. I didn't need to take more to prove anything to anyone. The closing came and went. She wired me my share and the restitution. There was no grand blow-up, just signatures and keys and a new mailbox. Her friends drifted. Not all at once, little turns. Tara stopped posting group photos with Aaron in them. Priya's nod turned cautious at brunches I didn't attend. Jenna unfollowed, then refollowed, then unfollowed again. People choose comfort until it leaks. I settled into a townhouse 20 minutes across town with a small yard and a grill that works. On Saturdays, I hit Darren's shop and get grease under my nails for the simple joy of fixing things that actually want to be fixed. I take my truck out by the river road and let the engine hum the way men listen to themselves think. 2 months after the papers were final, I met someone who shows up when she says she will, leaves her phone on the table face up without making it a statement, and asks if I want coffee before she pours her own. We don't do speeches. We do calendars. Despite everything, Erin sent one more message after she moved into a smaller place across town. I hope you're happy, she said. I thought about the chair in the living room, the half circle of witnesses, the folder on the coffee table, the way the room went quiet when facts replaced theater. Happiness isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the sound of a door closing softly behind you while a group of people stare at each other wondering how the scene changed without their permission. I typed back 2 words. I am. I didn't get a reply. I didn't need one.